So if you remember all of the drama that was going on around Subnautica 2 this year between the developer and the publisher, and you might have been asking yourself, is this going to affect the game's sales? Not really. Hello, my gaming friends, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am Jonathan, your host here at QuickBird Gaming, and I appreciate you tuning in for another episode of QuickBird News, where we cover all the gaming news of the week that is fit to cover. This week's episode is going to cover 10th through 16th of May, and as usual, we have some things to talk about. We've got some news about GTA and Marathon. We've got Forza releasing and setting new records. In fact, we've got several news articles talking about games hitting new sales milestones, and it's all great stuff. As always, each story I talk about is time-stamped in the description box down below, so feel free to scroll down there, look for a story that interests you, and go ahead and jump to that. But before I get into all that, we got to talk about Subnautica 2 and what's going on with that game. You know, like I said in the intro, if you remember, there was quite a bit of controversy about it, and it has not seemed to affect its sales at all. So let's get into it. Okay, to kick this off, let's take a look at this PC Gamer article. This is from Thursday, the 14th of May, and it says Subnautica 2 has sold 2 million copies in 12 hours with 9 times the players of the first, and at this point, I figure the Krafton CEO is already on his second bottle. Now, a little background or a refresher if you don't remember. The first Subnautica game was originally released, I want to say 2014, into early access, and it finally went full release in 2018. And by the beginning of this year, it had sold something like 17 or 18 million copies between Subnautica and its spinoff, Subnautica Below Zero was its other spinoff game. It had sold 15 to 20 million copies, essentially. Now, the company Unknown Worlds, the developer, was picked up by Krafton, which you might recognize from such big games like PUBG. It was picked up by Krafton, I think, in 2021. Now, there was some contract dispute between Krafton and the developers of the leaders of Unknown Worlds over bonus payouts for Subnautica 2. Essentially, Krafton said that the developers there, the leaders of Unknown Worlds, were failing to meet targets. The people at Unknown Worlds said that Krafton was trying to screw them out of a promised contractual bonus. It went back and forth to court, and the last I heard, I believe a judge ordered the Krafton or the Unknown Worlds leader to be reinstated and the bonus to be paid. So that's why they say the figure the Krafton CEO is already on a second bottle, because that large payout was contingent on Subnautica doing well. And if it sold 2 million copies in 12 hours, it's already kicking ass. The article says, okay, it's rare in this day and age to see a genuine comeuppance play out in real time, which is why the writer of this article is savoring this particular piece of glee, as Subnautica 2 has hit a 2 million copy milestone in 12 hours after selling 1 million copies in one. Peak concurrent player counts across Steam, Epic, and the Xbox exceeded 650,000. The game hasn't released on PlayStation yet, with Steam alone reaching a peak of more than 467,000 players, almost 500,000 concurrent. Okay? And then it goes into a little bit of the news of what we just discussed here. Things went to court where Kim, Changham Kim, the Krafton CEO, was accused of kicking the studio's former heads out over a potential payout to the tune of $250 million if the game reached certain sales targets, and so on and so forth. A judge ordered former Unknown World CEO Ted Gill to be reinstated. It's basically Krafton has to pay the money it said it would pay and can, and must act in good faith to navigate the remaining contractual relationship. Obviously, that hinges on Subnautica 2 doing well, which it has done tremendously. Now, I know a lot of people have played this game. I know personally people that have played it and really liked it. You're never going to see me playing this game on this channel, and I'll just tell you why. Even though I like some survival horror and base building mechanic type games, I have a phobia of being attacked by creatures in the water, and this just looks like pure nightmare fuel to me. You know, I have already seen clips of people being attacked by the Leviathan, and I noped out of this whole franchise right then and there. So you're never going to see me playing this, but I am really glad that people who love this franchise and have given it so much love and care and attention, you know, to the tune of 18 million copies sold or whatever for the first one, that they're loving the second one. Now I'm just going to kick over to the Steam database and take a look. And you can see that as of Saturday night on the 16th of May, They're still clocking in at 250,000 players, and this game is still in early access. So it is. It's not a full release yet. I've seen a rough roadmap from Unknown Worlds about things they're planning to do, some quality of life improvements, and then a big down the road later this year, they're going to have a big update that's going to add more area and the next chapter in the story and so on. So the last game went 4 years in early access before it went full release. This one, I'm sure, is going to have at least a little bit of time. But people were excited. They're rewarding the studio. 2 million copies sold in 12 hours is awesome. And it says 91%. I think it's sitting around 92% total reviews on Steam right now. I haven't looked at the Xbox or Epic scores, but this is obviously a great success story for a beloved franchise. Players are getting something they can really sink their teeth into. And you know me, that's what's important. So this is awesome. We had one big debut this week. Why not have a second one? I'm going to turn over to this Games Radar article, also from Thursday, the 14th of May. Forza Horizon 6 immediately beats its predecessor all-time Steam record with 130,000 concurrent players, and that's only counting people willing to pay $120 for early access, where they say Horizon 5 peaked at 81,000 players 5 years ago. And it talks a little bit about that here, and then it says the official release date for Forza Horizon 6 is next Tuesday, May 19th. But for those of you who sprung for the 120 premium edition version of the game, you can start playing it today, which was Thursday when the article was posted, and it looks like a massive amount of players did. And we go over to the Steam database. You can look at it real quick, and you can see that it hit 178,000. It's still clocking in at 129,000 as of Saturday night. It's also sitting with about a 77% overall positive review score on Steam. I didn't check the Xbox score. This game hasn't been released on PlayStation yet. And I think that's interesting that given that it's got a peak of 178,000, that probably means that it had 500,000 copies sold. That's what Alinea Analytics guessed. Now, I don't want to report that as fact because it is all just guesswork. However, to get 178,000 concurrent players, 500,000 copies sold seems kind of like at least that many because, obviously not everybody who bought it's playing it once. That seems about right. That means they've done quite well for themselves. And on May 19th, 2 days after the posting of this video, the regular edition is going to be up. People can start playing, and I'm sure those numbers are going to increase even more. I will report sales numbers when I have solid numbers. Obviously, nothing's been released yet. Now I'm going to sound like a broken record from the last segment in Subnautica when I say that I'm not a big fan of racing games. It's not something I enjoy playing. However, I love the fact that this game came out and so many people are enjoying it. Most of the negative comments I see seem to be centered around performance. Here we go with optimization again. But that's just a fact of life as a PC player, it seems. So a lot of people are enjoying this game. I know some people personally that are playing it and have been talking about it for several days, and they're really getting into it. So this is another game that's clearly had a whole lot of attention, a big amount of success, and immediately on launch. I could see this sales count shooting up as soon as the regular edition people can start playing. So this is great. Another success for players who love a game genre that they're looking for something in that genre. They got fed something that they can play, really sink their teeth into. These type of things are, as far as I'm concerned, are wins for the players. Something that's really just doing well and people are loving it, and hopefully that means it'll keep being supported. So, another success story. Well, we talked about 2 successful launches. So now we probably need to talk about a game that isn't having a whole lot of success. We're going to look at this Insider Gaming article from Friday, May 15th. Marathon is getting 2 new PvE modes in Season 2. Now, this may not resonate with a lot of younger viewers, but older viewers will probably kind of remember a trope from sitcoms back in the 80s and 90s, where when a show was flagging, it had been on the air for several seasons, and they would introduce a new character, often a child who was supposed to be cute and kind of take the show back to its roots, but inevitably dragged the show down to the point where it just kind of died a whimpering death in its later seasons. Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch is the most notorious example I can think of this, although I think that might have been 70s. I specifically think of this little brat named Seven from Married with Children, who was so obnoxious and so disliked that they pretty much just wrote him off the show immediately. And when I see a game doing something like this, attempting to turn itself into something it never was, this strikes me with the same degree of desperation as that programming did. We'll scroll down here and look, and it says Bungie has revealed Marathon is slated to get 2 new experimental PvE modes going into Season 2. This named Nightfall. It lands on June 2nd. Expanding the game's base, okay, etc., etc. New and updated zones, fresh runner shells, and PvE-focused modes. Now, here's the kicker to me. This is the key kind of point to this. Around Marathon's launch, Bungie stressed it didn't want a PvE-only mode because it takes away from the unpredictability and inherent volatility of a PvP-focused game. I don't think this is quite the same, even though they're both extraction shooters. I don't think this is quite the same point as Arc Raiders, because I don't think they were trying to be a PvP-focused game. They were happy being a PvE game with some PvP elements in it. Marathon has always touted itself as a PvP game. Now they're trying to say that they don't want to be. However, with player counts dropping and many in the extraction world desiring a PvE experience, Bungie has opted to do that. And, okay, the first will be an experimental mode considered to be a PvE light offering, focusing on PvE combat while offering a light touch of PvP. And then the second half of the season, a pure PvE mode will drop. We don't really need to go over and look at the Steam database, player counts, and, according to people like Paul Tassi over at Forbes, that according to his sources, most of the players of Marathon are on PC, 70% or whatever it was he said. So the Steam player counts are just a good indicator of the overall health of the game. They seem to be capping at 10 to 13,000 concurrent players daily. It's just been a steady, seep of loss of players over time. But that seems to be where they are right now. And now they're going to go to PvE. And again, this just does smack of desperation. With everything we covered last week, all of the write-downs at Bungie by Sony, where they reduced the value of this company by $750 million. I read somewhere this week, and I wish I could have found the article, that said that there are more developers in Bungie working on Marathon than there are in Destiny, which really seems like an inverted priority to me. Destiny has a proven track record, even if it hasn't been as successful lately and has hemorrhaged a lot of players. It still seems like it's been running for years and had a lot of people had time invested in it. And they haven't released something, a DLC or not DLC, an expansion lately, but every time they did, they'd see a spike in player count. It seems like they would be better off pursuing that ecosystem and rolling eventually into Destiny 3 than trying to keep this one alive. Now they're going to try this PvE mode, and I don't know if it will bring players in. I don't want to say it won't. It seems unlikely, but anything's possible. But if they invest all these dev cycles and all this money and all this energy into trying these PvE modes, and the numbers continue to slide, this really feels like they are pursuing a sunk cost fallacy with Marathon at this point, when they got a more successful IP they could be focusing on. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. It could revive the game. It feels unlikely to me, but whatever happens, we will see. And just for the pure fact, that is, if you're playing Destiny now, if you're playing Marathon now, or if you're considering playing Marathon, you deserve to know about this. They are going to be introducing a PvE mode. So if that's something that interests you, go check it out. And if it's successful in reviving the game, only time will tell. And I'll be here to report on it. I am only going to touch on this to have it on the record that I recognized it before the fact. This GameSpot article from Thursday, the 14th of May, GTA 6's price could finally be revealed soon as pre-orders reportedly begin Monday. Well, people have been on a kind of a mini hope cycle waiting for GTA 6 information, a third trailer, a pricing, and everything else. And every time it happens, nothing happens. However, this is saying GTA 6 pre-orders are due to begin on Monday, May 18th. According to emails being sent to Best Buy affiliate partners. The Cheap Ass Gamer account, a reputable page for these kind of deals. Deals-related news for video games. Receive the emails and share the details online. I saw at least one of the news outlets that said that they have received the emails as well. The notice said pre-orders for GTA's physical edition will begin on May 18th. So if the pre-orders are going to begin, that'll also include pricing. May 18th is one day after this video is posted. So by the time you see this, this may have already either happened or not happened. And then we got the whole discussion saying that, Rockstar should price the game at $80 to help drive the cost of games up. That's a whole separate subject. Just my 10-second feeling on that whole discussion is what GTA 6 can get away with, not every game in the industry can, and players have already shown remarkable resistance to spending $70 for games that don't fucking work in the first place, have a lot of errors, and just aren't that good. So there's not, I don't think that even if GTA 6 can go to $80, every game can. I said 10 seconds. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, just throwing this out there that this timing has been kind of announced. And we will see, like I said, by tomorrow, as of this video being posted. If it does happen, I may put a post up on the channel just confirming it and say it also says the May 18th timing is conspicuous, given that Rockstar Take-Two will release its latest earnings reports on Thursday, May the 21st. Maybe they're looking for some good news ahead of that, and so this will be accurate. Okay, again, it's 24 hours from after posting this video. We'll know more. Okay, now I want to talk about a couple of games that are having real good sales numbers that players are really enjoying. So let's start with this Eurogamer article from Monday, May 11th. It says, vintage Disney-like shooter Mouse P.I. for Hire has sold so well its publisher has made back all invested money. Mouse P.I. for Hire was developer Fumi Games' debut offering, and after a small delay, it was released in April. And since, again, the game has done commercially well, the publisher announcing that Mouse P.I. for Hire has sold roughly 730,000 copies per release. This is across all platforms. And it says in terms of money, they said that has made an estimated $21.4 million since launch. This means PlaySide has recouped all payment, publishing, and marketing costs. So from here on out, it's just profit. This is a game players really seem to like. I think it's sitting at 94% of total reviews on Steam, 4.84 out of 5 on PlayStation, 4.84 out of 5 stars. So players are really liking this game. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a boomer shooter, kind of similar to Doom in the mechanics. It's fast-paced, a lot of shooting. You all your ammo and pickups laying around the environment, and just go with all the fighting. It's got that kind of Disney black and white aesthetic. And like I said, I love the fact that this is a small company. First game, they did great. Players loved it. We need more of this in the industry. So this is fantastic. In the same vein as that last segment, we're going to look at this PC Gamer article from Thursday, the 14th of May. Windrose hits 2 million sales milestone, proving yet again that the world really, really wanted a good pirate game. Hey, Black Flag remake, did you miss your window? Probably not. I'm sure that'll still do well if the game's good. But these guys stole a little bit of your thunder in advance. Early access Pirate Sim Windrose has hit 2 million sales pretty much exactly a month after its release date. It's PC only, early access to boot. So this game hasn't even been on console yet, and it's early access. So it hasn't fully released yet. No one had heard of it this time last year, nor the Uzbekistan-based studio making it. Under these circumstances, selling 2 million units in a month is no small feat. It goes to show that the hunger for a properly good pirate game is huge. Now, like Mouse P.I., this is another game I would love to get into, but I have a very accursed backlog and not as much time to play as I want, so I haven't been able to. I think both of these games are selling for $30 on Steam. I could be mistaken, but Windrose is sitting something like 86-87% positive on Steam, and like we said, it's PC only. Won't look at the Epic Games Store to see what it's over there, but I'm sure it's similar. So another success story, first time game release from a studio that nobody had heard of beforehand. I think this is great. I love the indie success. I love seeing it. It is so awesome. And People are rewarding these guys with all these sales because the games are good. They resonate. There's something players want. Players are getting a great game. Indie devs are getting rewarded for it. It's all around wins. Now, this isn't indie, but this does show you, it should show Konami the value of a strong franchise and what people are looking for. Silent Hill 2 Remake reaches 6 million players as Silent Hill F hits a new sales milestone, and Silent Hill F topped 2 million sales. This article writer says, this is from IGN, and this is from Wednesday the 13th. While I too clocked that interesting distinction that Konami makes between players and sales, it nonetheless strengthens the horror franchise, firming up the future as we move towards an upcoming Silent Hill Townfall and Bloober Team's Silent Hill 1 remake. You know, for a long time, we didn't see a whole lot out of Silent Hill. Then they announced they were doing the remake. Bloober Team came out, was pretty well received. Then suddenly last year, we were told about Silent Hill F, and now Silent Hill Townfall, if I'm not mistaken, was originally scheduled to be released later this year. Just like everything, we'll see how that shakes out, relative to GTA 6's release. Now, obviously, Konami is not a indie studio, but they're getting it. It's kind of sinking in. They're like, oh shit, we could be making Silent Hill games that people actually want. Now, the reception to Silent Hill F wasn't as strong as for the Silent Hill 2 remake. I think one of the big complaints about Silent Hill F was it actionized the game. Some people complained about having to button mash their way through the monsters. It wasn't as frightening or as scary because there was so much more combat. Again, I'm getting this third hand because I haven't played Silent Hill F, so I don't know. That's just kind of the gist I got from reading the reviews as to why it maybe wasn't as received as well. People that play this, they want a good, creepy, scary experience like the OG games, and this might not have been right in the same vein. However, because it has Silent Hill attached to it and people are thirsty for good games, they went after this one. They'll probably go after the next one. So again, players are getting something that they're interested in, at least nominally, up front, and they're rewarding the producers for producing a game that, people may like. So sales milestones for these two Silent Hill games and for the two previous indie games. And if I've learned anything about the games industry, this means we should get more games like these. Not that we will, we should. So let's hope that these developers take away the right lesson from this. I've got kind of mixed feelings about this one. This is a Game Rant article from Thursday the 14th. New Lord of the Rings game canceled. Amazon has just confirmed that its Lord of the Rings MMO has been officially canceled. It was rumored that this happened following major layoffs in October, but the company hadn't confirmed anything until now. As someone who played the Lord of the Rings online for many, many years, probably at least 15, 16 years, and somebody who really enjoyed Shadow of Mordor, I don't think there's been any shortage of good Lord of the Rings games out there over the years. There have been some stinkers. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Gollum. But there have always been some good games. I'm not sure I had a lot of faith in Amazon to do this properly. If you look at the Rings of Power, you would know why. Even though I know their TV and gaming divisions are separate, but just still. So I was kind of curious to see how this was going to turn out. Now it looks like it's canceled. I think somewhere down here they say that they are still working on another Lord of the Rings property. Let's see if I can find that. Our creative team continues to explore a compelling new game experience that does justice to Tolkien's world. So they're still working on something in universe. Just remains to be seen what. So, but the MMO has been canceled, and Lord of the Rings Online will, continue to stand supreme. If you ever really wanted to get into the lore, a Lord of the Rings game that had excellent lore, check that one out, because even though it's an MMO, you can mostly play it single player through the duration, all the way through the epic story. And it, your character kind of closely follows the story of the ring, just working in a supporting role all the way up until when Frodo pitches it into the volcano. So anyway, just MMO over at Amazon. Amazon just continues to not have great luck with gaming or with Lord of the Rings. Okay, I want to finish with 2 bits about Steam, or specifically the Steam controller. And I'm going to start with this Gaming Bible article from Friday the 15th. Steam offers free games as apology for hardware delay. You could be eligible. Okay, they said they officially launched the Steam controller, etc. However, if you ordered one of the new controllers and are yet to receive one, get in touch with Steam because they're offering a free game as a goodwill gesture. Now, this is a customer service response from Steam that's posted on X. It's very difficult to read. And when I tried to set up this video, I couldn't get it to blow up well. So I'm just going to try and read it to you. It says, "Hello, we are very sorry for the issue with your shipment. The carriers informed us that a small number of packages were mistakenly routed to the UK. They are actually working to redirect the equipment to the shipping address you provided." Fair enough. To thank you for your patience, we would like to offer you to add a game to your library. Please pick any standard edition available for purchase in your region and reply with your selection. In other words, basically what they're saying is people who had their shipment delayed, they have a free game on us. And this is really cool because Steam could have said, "Hey, look, this isn't our problem. This is on the shipper," which would be true. But instead, because they recognize the impact to their customers, they're offering up a free game. Just one of a myriad reasons why this company has such fierce loyalty. I've said it before, I'm not blindly loyal to Steam. I don't like everything they do, and I recognize that they are flawed. However, when stacked up against every other service provider in this industry, they're head and shoulders. And these little reasons why these little things like this are why people love them so much. And last, this is just too good to ignore. This Video Games Chronicle article from Wednesday, May 13th. The Steam controller has a hidden Easter egg. It screams if you drop it. The controller uses its haptic motors to recreate the Wilhelm scream. Early adopters of the Steam controller have started receiving their devices, and a Reddit user discovered that dropping it can sometimes cause it to scream. Specifically, the controller plays the Wilhelm scream, a long-running movie and joke where a stock sound effect of a man screaming is inserted into numerous films and TV shows. And people have tested it and confirmed that it's real. And I'm just going to play this. Perfect. All right, folks, that's going to be all for tonight. I appreciate you tuning in, but I'm going to call it quits now. It's been a long day. I was out selling books at an event today. And by the way, if you enjoy fantasy or science fiction, check out my author page. It's linked in the channel description if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, like I said, I appreciate your attention. Please drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this content. If you have a comment, let me know. If you want to comment on anything I talked about, such as if you think Marathon is going to resurge, or if you think there's going to be more to the GTA reveal, or we're going to get a price, let me know what you think. I read all comments. I try to respond to as many of them as I can. Hit that bell if you want to be notified the next time QuickBird News is uploaded. And if you're really enjoying the content, please consider subscribing. It only takes one click. It helps me out a whole bunch. Okay, having said all that, it's time to go to bed tonight. So thank you once again for tuning in. I will be back next week with more video game news, and we'll see what this industry has in store for us. Until then, you all go out there, live your best lives, and you all stay gaming.